Hey guys, welcome back to Honey in the Rock episode 111.
Oh my gosh, that's so many episodes.
No, it doesn't feel like, I don't know how long it feels like.
That's crazy.
Because sometimes it feels like I should be at like 400. And sometimes it's like, oh, I'm still on episode 12.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm Sophie, and this is Cleo.
Hey.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So I met you for the first time at Day Drinkers, which is the best coffee shop. Your apartment's kind of giving day drinker vibes.
Oh my gosh, you
like,
think?
Yeah.
Wait, that's really
like
kind.
The cozy, but then also it's like kind of artsy.
Wait,
we're
this
in
is
her
the best
apartment
compliment
right
ever.
now, and it's like so cute. And she's gonna save all of her stuff when I have an apartment
For sure.
and I'm just gonna put it in there.
For sure. Awesome.
But it's just like cozy, but then the windows, it's perfect. So we met at Day Drinkers, and I probably shared my life story or something. And now we're here. So tell us about yourself.
Hey guys, my name's Cleo, and I'm a senior at Furman, and I'm from Texas. Yeah.
You used to work at a boot store.
Oh yeah, I used to work at a cowboy boot store. Not super important part of my life, but kind of cool fact.
It's kind of fun. I didn't know how many of like my cowgirl boots to bring.
Oh, I brought all 3 pairs because last year, like in the spring semester, I was abroad in the fall, so I was like, okay, like it's kind of dramatic to like bring 3 pairs of boots for a semester. Biggest regret of the semester. You have to bring all of them.
So I brought 2, and then I went back home and got my pink pair because I was like, I'm not gonna wear them. Like,
no, you'll wear them.
And then I was like, oh, I need these. And then I also was like, I don't want to like come on as this like super southern girl.
No, it's really funny because
it's kind of perfect.
I'm like not country, but whenever I came, I would like wear my cowboy boots all the time. And I was like, I'm from Texas, and I think people thought I was like really country, but I'm not.
We're like hunting and fishing.
Yeah,
every
literally.
Weekend. Yeah, I know. Or like a lot of my friends are from up north, so they think I'm really southern.
Yeah,
which
you kind of have a southern accent.
I'm a little. Yeah, I have a little. Like comparatively, I never thought I did until I came here. And I'm like 10 minutes away from home, but
yeah, that is so funny.
From everyone else, I seem a lot more southern than I did at home, like with all my school friends at home.
Interesting.
I know. So okay, we'll just dive in. I just like keep looking around and it's so cute. Like I'm like also like I just want to give them a tour.
Wait, you can.
I'm not a YouTuber,
I don't know if people watch the video, but they want to see my house. Guys, G101, you can come over.
Hang out. Now that I've been here, I'm coming back.
Oh yeah. Wait, please.
Because you guys always like come in.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, I can't just come. And then
now
I see it. I'm like, oh, I will just come.
Okay, good.
Because it's so cute.
No, yeah, that's the goal is for you to just come.
Perfect. Okay, we'll dive in to your testimony.
Okay, my testimony. Basically, I was raised like going to church every week, and that was really important in our family. But that was kind of it. Like we went to church, and I was raised Episcopalian, which is very similar to Catholicism, and so it's a very like liturgical and a lot of like repeating prayers, and it's probably very different from like churches that you go to. Like, it's not really called a sermon; they have like a homily, which is kind of like a little like 5 to 10 minute love each other thing. And so I like always believed in God, and then when I'm trying to think, I was either in middle school or the beginning of high school. My brother Scott, who's 2 years older than me, he like really came to know the Lord through Young Life. And he started, like, I would see him like reading his Bible, and he would like talk to us about it. And so I think that was the first time that I was kind of realized that there was more to it than just going to church. And like I think I'd always like been curious about God and been kind of like pulled towards him. And then seeing Scott, I was like, oh, this is actually like real. Like that was just the first time I think I'd really seen someone like have a relationship with the Lord. And so it made me like really curious. And I started going to Young Life in high school. But it was like, I don't know, like I feel like I was very interested, but there was this interesting time like sophomore year and junior year where I feel like I like wanted to follow the Lord, but I just didn't really know how. And I like have this really vivid memory of walking through my high school and being like, okay, God, I'm like trying to think about you, but I'm like confused. Like, what does it even mean to follow you? Like, I feel like there's more, but I don't know what it is. And I'm like trying to think about you my day, but you're not even answering. So like, how am I supposed to even believe in you?
How do I know?
What? And so then I kind of like junior year, I think there was like probably 2 or 3 weeks where I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this.
Right.
And I was like, I'm gonna like read my Bible every morning. So I like went to school early and read my Bible every morning. And then at the end of like the month or a few weeks, I was like, okay, I don't think like this is working. Like I don't really feel anything
Right.
and I like want this, but I feel like I can't get it.
Yeah.
So I kind of gave up. And I was like, I tried. And then junior year, like the end of junior year, basically my friend group, which was me and like 2 other girls, just had this like big falling out, and I like got kicked out of the friend group.
Right.
And it was like so dramatic and dumb at the time.
But probably also the most heartbreaking thing
no,
ever in the moment.
Literally.
Yep.
Yeah. It was like it's so like dumb high school drama, but it was like actually the hardest thing I ever went through.
Oh yeah.
And it was just I like put so much of my like value and worth in my friends.
Yeah.
And when I was a sophomore in my English class, we had to write about like our values.
Yeah.
And I remember like putting friends above family, which is insane.
Yeah.
But to me, I was like, friends are just like literally the most important thing in life.
Right.
And which they are really important. But I definitely like put all of my worth in that.
Yeah.
And so as soon as that kind of happened, I just remember like being like, I have nothing.
Right.
And like just telling myself that.
Right.
And that also happened during the beginning of COVID.
Okay. Not good timing.
Like actually the craziest timing
Yeah.
ever. And I don't know how long it was. It was probably like a month or something. But it was so hard.
Yeah.
And I just felt like so alone and so just like confused because I feel like I, especially in that friendship, was like trying so hard to love her so well, but definitely in a selfish way.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I was like, okay, I'm doing all these things for you so that you'll be a good friend to me.
Yes. Yeah.
So then I was confused. I don't know. I was just like, why can you not love me well?
Right. Right.
And so then my brother came home because it was COVID.
Okay.
And him and his girlfriend, who's like my best friend ever, who now is his wife,
Sweet.
came home. And like Jenna, his wife, is like my best friend, and I would tell her anything. And she was like asking me about it, and I was like, I can't talk about it. Like I don't want to talk to you.
Right.
Which was so weird.
Right.
And I like did not want Scott to come home because I was like, I know that he's gonna talk to me about God, and like I can't do that right now. And in my head, I was like, I have so much that I have to figure out before I can even like think about the Lord and like think about coming to him. And so Scott came in my room one night, and I think this is like an awful way to start a conversation, but he like sits down and he's like, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how sure are you that you're going to heaven?
Okay. Straight to the point.
Bro, this is so annoying.
Right.
And it's funny because in the moment I was just like, this is so dumb. Right. But anyways, we ended up having a really good conversation. And I think for the first time, I was like, actually, I don't know if I can believe this because I have all of these issues.
Right.
And I think I had these like big barriers in my mind, like when it came to the Lord and like believing in him, but I had never actually like wrestled with him.
That's so good.
And I was always just like, yeah, I believe in God, whatever. And then I think it was really big for me to sit there with him and be like, actually, I don't know if I like believe in these things, and I don't know if I agree with this, and I don't know if I can like believe in a God if I don't agree with this. And he just had really good answers to all of my questions. And I remember sitting there and he was just like answering all of my questions, and all of the gears in my brain were just like turning like crazy. And honestly, a lot of things that I had like heard at Young Life like years before, and like the descriptions of like Jesus dying on the cross were just like coming back into my brain. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is it. Like I have been like literally seeking for something so hard. And whenever I go like read my journals from high school, I'm like, I feel like there's more, and I feel like I'm missing it. And I just like had this fear that I was like missing out on a deeper part of life. And as I was sitting there, I was like, this is it. And I was like, wow, like this love that I like feel like I was literally made for and made to receive. And I've been so confused why my friends can't like give it to me. It's because it's like the Lord.
It comes
and, like,
from him.
Yeah. And I remember sitting there, and it felt like the craziest thing ever. Like it literally felt like a light bulb like went off in my brain, and everything in the world clicked. And I was sitting on my couch. It was like so crazy and funny because I was just like sitting on my couch in my room, and it was like the craziest thing ever. And I was just like, wow, like this is literally the
is
secret to
it.
life. Like
Yeah.
this is everything.
Right.
And I was just filled with this like overwhelming sense of like love and peace and joy and like freedom.
Right.
Which is funny because I think a lot of times when people think of like Christianity and religion, it feels like all these rules and like
Yeah.
lack of freedom.
Right.
And I have like never felt more free.
Right.
And all of a sudden it was like, wow, it doesn't even matter like what my friends like think of me, because like I have this thing and this love that is
Right.
so much greater.
Yeah.
And so I basically just had this like literally crazy insane moment.
Right.
And it was like May of junior year, and I was sitting on my couch, and it was like a crazy moment, and I feel like my eyes were just like opened.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh.
That's so cool.
And then yeah.
Right. Well, I also like the part of the like working through the doubts.
Yeah.
Because I think when we push those down, then they're going to get big and Satan's going to use that against us. But when we start speaking them out and bringing them to the light, it's when like Jesus is going to like come in and either bring someone like how your brother came in,
Yeah.
or somebody else, or by his word, or in church, or whatever it looks like. But like we have to bring our doubts out. And like especially in a season of doubt, like I feel like I just walked in through a season of doubt, and it wasn't really questioning like, oh, do I believe, or would I go to heaven? Because I was like strongly walking. I felt like I was closest with God than I had ever had been. But there's just so much going on in my head and so much life transition that I was just like, how is God good if this happened? And how can I trust this? And what does it look like for me to fully surrender? And it was just like working through the harder questions. It might not, it was like doubt, but really working through like harder questions. And once I started like speaking them out loud, it like just like died down in my brain because it was so big in my brain. But once they came to light, it was like, oh,
yeah,
this is how God has been good to me.
Yeah.
And this is how he's been faithful time and time again when things are hard and good. So I think that's like a powerful thing that people feel ashamed almost to do, but it's actually so freeing. And then the part of like growing up and it's more of a religion.
Yeah.
And then when you saw somebody have a relationship, it's like, oh, that's where the freedom is. Like there might not be freedom as much in following these rules as a religion. But once that comes to light of like, whoa, this is a relationship with Jesus that I have, it's like so freeing.
Yeah,
so I like
for
that.
sure.
And then the last thing that I wanted to say on that was expecting God things out of people that aren't God. So like expecting friends to be the Jesus in your life, or expecting family or school or work or a sport, like whatever we put to be a God thing in our life, and expect like God-sized, I don't know, rewards from it. It's never gonna come.
I feel like just like looking for satisfaction in like anything besides that, like it's just gonna fail you.
It's gonna fail.
Time.
Right. And they can be good things, and God can use people in your life to bring you closer to him and bring you joy and stuff. Like God can use that, but when things become the expectation of who God is, then like there's gonna not be satisfaction because it's gonna let you down. So I like that part because I think that's easy to do,
for sure,
especially in high school.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I feel like I see that's like the biggest thing I've seen, and it's been really cool because I'm a young life leader, and also this past summer I worked at camp with like juniors in high school. And like every single week at camp, I wasn't even a counselor, I was like on leadership. But I would get to have these crazy conversations with these campers, and all of them were like having the hardest time with their friends, and like I feel like that's just like such a thing that so many people walk through, and it's like, especially in high school, you're probably putting your identity in your friendships, and it seems like such a like stupid thing to be like, oh, I'm like my friends can get out of my friend group, whatever, but that's like a devastating thing when you're like 15 and in high school. And it was like literally the coolest thing because there were so many girls I got to talk to, and they were just like sobbing, and I got to be like, that happened to me, and it was literally the best thing that's ever happened to me in the whole world, because it like led me to the Lord. And I don't know, just getting to like share his goodness in that, and like how I've seen it was like so encouraging to them, and also so cool to be like, man, like I would walk through that 5 million times again to like be able to like share with them. It was so cool.
That's so cool. And how God uses that. Like he uses our brokenness and the hard things we walk through to like bring glory to his name. And then as Christians, that's what we want. That's really sweet. Okay, and then what did that look like coming into college? Like bringing that in?
It was kind of interesting because senior year of high school was really weird because I completely switched friend groups, and it was COVID. So it was just like pretty lonely, but also it was like a really good time because it really, I feel like, was just like me and the Lord, and he was like all that I needed. Like that was because he was all literally that I had. And so I feel like during that year I had like a lot of foundation set up of like, this is how I'm gonna live and this is important. So coming into college, honestly, I was so excited to come to college because I just felt like I couldn't progress in my faith at all really at home because I couldn't go to my own church.
Right.
And no one at my school like was a believer.
Right.
And so it was just like really lonely.
Right.
And so coming to college, that's what I was like most excited for.
Yeah.
And it was definitely like kind of hard at first, which is funny because I was having the best time of my life.
Right.
But then like looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I like was having the best time of my life.
Yes.
And I was really blessed when I first got to college and just like had this immediate friend group, which was like great and like so comforting.
Yeah.
But I didn't really have any friends who were like super strongly pursuing the Lord.
Okay, yeah.
And so, but it was really interesting. Like we would sit in our friend's room every night and like have all these conversations. And I feel like it was a lot of me like defending my beliefs and being like, oh, actually, I don't agree with that because of this. And like, I don't know. I feel like it was very good to kind of like be tested in that way and be like, I'm gonna stand strong in what I believe.
Right. That probably like tested you
in
that way, and then to like be confident, to be able to like defend it and be confident in that.
Yeah. And so I think I learned a lot through that. And then kind of like second semester, honestly, after Rush, I like met a lot of girls who like love the Lord and gained more like Christian community, which was like a big blessing. But I feel like it's been really cool because in high school it was very much like no one's a Christian. And in my head here, it was kind of going to be like everyone is. But I feel like it's been really sweet to be able to have both those friendships. And like, I don't know, I feel like there's so much value in like my friends who like really point me towards the Lord. And there's so much value in my friends who like aren't necessarily following him or don't know him. And so it's been really sweet to like be able to have both.
Right. Well, there's like the opportunity to get poured into and pour into. Like, the opportunity to share the gospel. Because if we're not around people at all to like love well and share the gospel and be friends with them that way, then like where's our mission field? But then we also need the people to encourage us in that walk.
And I feel like I've learned so much through my friendships with people who like don't know the Lord, just because especially like the questions that they would ask me.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh man, shoot, I like never thought about this. And like it just like tests you in such a different way that I don't know. I feel like it helps me grow and like I gain so much value from it.
I had a friendship like that in high school, and she like didn't know the Lord and then was like coming to know the Lord.
Yeah.
And as we were like doing that, she wrestled with a lot of the questions and she brought them to me, and it helped me wrestle with the questions in my own head, but then also to be willing to figure out the answers to her questions. Like sometimes I wouldn't know, but then I would be like, I'm gonna figure this out, and then I would do research and read up on it, and like I became much more confident in what I believed because I was having to defend what I believed, but also then like share. And then I'm like, sometimes I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. Which I think there is so much power, honestly, in just being like, I don't know.
Right. Like that's a really good thing. Like I'm gonna start praying that the Lord will show me what that looks like.
And I feel like going back to what you were saying too, of like how it is so important to like have questions and doubts. I feel like it's really cool too, because I think sometimes people think that Christians just like blindly accept everything and don't think about it.
Yeah.
And are kind of just like, yes, everything like in the Bible makes sense and I agree with it all. But like I feel like for them to see that actually we're like wrestling with it and thinking about it and not just like blindly following it is like really powerful.
We're not like dumb.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's like, oh, like just like airhead.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But it's like, no, I do believe this, but this is how I got here to believe this was diving into what God's word said. And also for this like senior year of your story, I think is really sweet. Like sometimes we have to be brought to a season of loneliness to learn dependence on God.
For sure.
And to like force yourself to build that foundation. There was a kid on the podcast a couple months ago, and that's like what happened. But his was like a full life change. Like he was like fully in the darkness.
Yeah.
And then went to the light. But so he like lost everything because nothing was the same in his life. But it was like, he was like, it was the loneliest I've ever been. But if I wasn't put in that position, I wouldn't have had to learn that God is enough and he is the only friend I need. And this is what his word says. And so I think that's, in the moment, it's really hard when that stuff happens. But then at the end, it's like kind of sweet.
I feel like in a way too, it was like so much easier to follow the Lord then, because like he was really all that I had.
Yeah.
And like now, like I have so many blessings, but it's so easy to be like, oh, I'm gonna hang out with my friends, and like I don't know, it's just easy to depend. Like there's so much else that I can depend on now, which is like such a gift. But I feel like it also is such a gift to literally be like at the end of yourself and like have nothing, because it's like it's literally just me and God, and like that's it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like weirdly I feel like easier, because it's like I'm either gonna be all in or like all out, you know?
Right. Yeah. There's like no lukewarm in that.
For sure.
And then, but then it's sweet because then it's like you learn what it looks like not to be lukewarm. So then when you're in positions like at school like this or in work somewhere one day, it's like, okay, I know what it was like to live this lukewarm life, and I know what it looked like to live all in. And so how can I live all in here? And now with the people who might not be believers, or with people who are believers, but like be depending on him. That's really sweet.
For sure.
That's so cool. What are you doing next year? Do you know?
Oh no.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been like thinking about a lot of things, but I don't know.
That's okay. It's fine. You'll figure it out.
It's a good question.
Okay. We'll keep everybody updated.
Yeah, we'll keep y'all updated. Hopefully I'll stay in Greenville. Yes. But we'll see.
Okay.
My dad every day is like, what are you doing next year? And I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know, Dad. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Oh, I met your dad.
Oh, you did?
It was so nice.
I forgot about that. I'm so glad that you met him.
We were at them.
Yeah, right out there. That was so funny.
I know.
I did forget about that.
Because all my freshman friends had left. Hey guys.
That was crazy times. Oh my gosh.
It was so weird. It felt like COVID again. It was like the hurricane here, and it literally felt like COVID again.
Yeah. Except we could be with each other, which is great. But
it was just like eerie, and it was like, what's happening?
I'm sure all the freshmen just left too.
Yeah. But my house didn't have power either, so it like didn't make sense.
That is crazy. Oh my gosh.
I was like homeless for a week. I was just like hopping around.
Do you feel like the Christian community has felt different here than in like your high school?
That's actually interesting. I think that here there's a lot of lukewarmness in high school, and so like here I feel like you're either like pursuing the Lord or you're not, which has been really interesting. I was super like in high school I had like later high school years I had a really good friend group. And that was like shocking because like my first couple years it was like weird, and like I had a best friend, but like my whole friend group left us. Like it was just like really weird beginning, and then I had like a really sweet friend group my last like 2 years. And so that in the sense of like pursuing the Lord with them is similar to like my roommate that I have now. But I think the part of like I've never seen older girls pursue the Lord as like y'all do, which was really sweet. Like when I first met you guys, like when it was like me, you, and Annie at Day Drinkers, I was like, oh my goodness, this is so freeing. And then like I met Aspen and like Avery and like a lot of other of the girls, and they were just like also pursuing the Lord. And I haven't had older girls in my life pursue the Lord very much.
That's so interesting. I guess in high school it was just like you and your friends, and no one above you.
And then like even like some of the older girls in my youth group, like I would see them and I would look up to them so much, like when I was in middle school, and then like I got Instagram and saw what actually was happening, and it was so confusing and hurt so bad. And so I think that's been the main difference of like not that I had older people to look up to, like moms to look up to, but I didn't have I don't know.
I feel like that has been like one of the biggest gifts in college, and like especially I feel like where I was in high school and like growing up, it was like I looked up to Scott and Jenna, but they're like that's like my brother and his girlfriend.
Yes,
so like
literally same. I have that
like,
too.
Yeah, and so I think coming here, I feel like I did have so many older girls that I got to like see like love the Lord, and like I don't know, seeing their fire for it was like so cool and encouraging.
And not in like a prideful way, but it was always like the middle school girls would look up to me, and just all middle school girls too. But I took like that seriously. I was like, okay, I'm gonna like try my best to like lead them well and love them well in this. And so it's like been sweet to like be poured into. Like I feel like I can be the little person.
It's so nice also like having someone to go to with your questions. Instead of like always having to have an answer.
Right. That's how I feel like I have here. Like I would come here and be like, I'm having the hardest night. Like this is why. When normally I would have to go to my mom for that. And that's great. But like sometimes you want to like talk to girls your age or a little older than you. And so I think that's been the biggest difference of like having the older girls actually pursuing the Lord and being able to look up to that.
Wait, that's really sweet.
So thanks.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yep. So I'd say that. Okay. you have anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Unless you have any more questions.
I don't think so. I'm trying to think. I don't. We'll just come back on part 2.
Oh yeah, we'll have to.
If I'll come up with more questions. Well, thanks for coming on.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me.
This is so fun.
This is such a cool podcast.
And thank you guys for listening. And I'll see you
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.